didn't speak too much about Sebastian Haller after the Liverpool game because I didn't think it was a fair fixture to judge him on. Of course, you have to watch it and you have an opinion, as I did. But I thought Fulham at home is the one where I'm really going to judge him a little bit more. Away to Liverpool, you're going to look at counter-attacking football. It can be his game. Frankfurt were good at counter-attacking football, but we're not set up for Sebastian Haller counter-attacking football, if that makes any sense at all. But I thought he was okay, a bit meh, a bit disappointing, but I wasn't expecting too much from him, therefore I wasn't that disappointed. It was what I thought he would. He struggled a little bit with the way we set up and stuff. I thought he was looking to make some good runs in the first half against Liverpool. I think he gave up a little bit in the second, which isn't great. In the first half, I mean, I've said it a couple of times. I'll say it one more time and I'm going to move on. If you go watch our goal against Liverpool, we get the ball at the halfway line. He makes a run. He's pointing. Fornals doesn't give him it. He moves out to the left. And you can see Sebastian do a bit like, okay, it goes out to Masuaku. Haller again makes another run. The ball doesn't come in. So he does the whole, as if to say, then it does come in, and it's not good enough. It's a poor cross in the end, which gets headed down to Fornals. But the point is, just in that little situation, he's made 2 runs there. Neither were, first one wasn't even attempted to find him, second one was poor. And you could see him a bit visibly. I'm not too bothered about body language stuff. The only time I don't like body language is when, remember Chicharito used to do that when he got subbed. Whenever he got subbed off Chicharito, he used to do that whole thing. That used to annoy me. But apart from that, I'm not too bothered by it. Anyway, so Fulham at home. Away to Anfield, away to Liverpool, home to Fulham. We play the exact same teams. The exact same 11s. On paper, they would be in the same positions. That's a bit frustrating. I think how you can approach both games the same is a bit weird, but it's not necessarily weird as such, but I would have liked to see something a little bit different in one of them at least. But saying that, I do think we played differently. I think the way we played those tactics, like I said, everyone was in the same positions, although I think Fornals was slightly different. I do think when I was watching the game, it was a bit more central than usual, but I felt we were getting the ball out wide a lot more than what we usually do when we're trying to get the crosses in. That wasn't the problem. The problem was the crosses weren't very good. Sofal and Masuaku I don't think are good enough at the crossing. They're both capable of good crosses, but they need a lot of attempts in order to produce a good one. Whereas I think Creswell's fantastic at his crossing. I think he's the best crosser we've got. This week, apart from outside the non-Sky Sports top 6, he created the most chances in the league bar one player. I don't know who that one player is, by the way. I forgot. I read it earlier. But Creswell, 5 or 6 chances he created. A bit cheating because he takes corners, and Haller hit the bar off one of his corners as well. But that being said, I do feel that we were trying to get the ball wide and trying to get into Sebastian Haller. I felt like we tweaked our play to try and suit him. I felt there was an improvement in Sebastian against Fulham. I thought he was running around a bit more. Not always effectively, but I thought he was moving a bit more. The thing with him is his style of crosses that he likes, if you like. He likes to run onto them. Andy Carroll used to prefer them lofted. You often see Andy Carroll standing next to a centre-back shouting at players saying, just put it up in the air, like loft it in. None of this whipped ball in that's like low and hard and all I have to do is flick it. Andy Carroll used to scream at players saying, stop doing that, just put it in and let me challenge this guy. Let me go shoulder to shoulder with him in the air and I'll beat him. Haller's slightly different. I think Haller's more about positioning and timing his run. And therefore you tend to need earlier crosses or something. And I think sometimes we can get to the byline and we can take a touch or we cut it back, and by the time the cross comes in, the defence is very well organised in that. Anyway, my point is, I thought there was an improvement from Sebastian Haller. But is it enough to stay in David Moyes' plans? Because that's what it was about. He had 2 games. Mikel Antonio's out injured, probably back for the Sheffield United one. How fit? Don't know. We'll find out. But he had 2 games to show David Moyes, I can be your manager. I can be your striker. You might have to tweak your system, but I can score goals for you. Has he done enough? I'm not so sure. I'm probably, personally, I think it's obvious on this channel that myself and Gonz are massive fans of Sebastian Haller. We were overly excited when he joined. Too excited, perhaps. And even though it's not worked out so far at West Ham, it's not been a disaster. It doesn't make him a bad player. It just means it doesn't suit the way we play. That's okay. It happens. It's alright. It's not a big deal. But what are you going to do about it? How are you going to rectify it? Well, you either need to change your system, need the player to then somehow change the way he plays, or you're going to have to sell him probably and get someone else in. But that's almost a bit of an issue itself. You don't want 2 or 3 strikers in the squad that all play the same way, because then what you're going to do? If there was any sort of mini gripe I had about this substitution on Saturday was we took 2 players off, put 2 players on, and we still played the same way, but the way we were playing wasn't working. It turned out it worked in the end, so what do I really know? But I would have liked to have seen us change the shape against Fulham. I thought we weren't really getting much of the ball, so we took off Fornals and Bowen and put Lanzini and Benrahma in. Now, they're different types of players, I'm aware of that, but we still continued to play the same way. Now, Sebastian Haller got all 90 minutes against Fulham. I'm not convinced he would have had Ogbonna not got injured. David Moyes was clearly going to do the Benrahma sub and possibly the Lanzini sub at the same time, round about the hour mark. He had them ready, and then Ogbonna got injured. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and assume that they would have come on in the hour, on round about the hour mark. Those 2, that would have given them one more substitution. And I wonder if he would have put Yarmolenko on for Sebastian Haller at some point. He may not have. I don't know. I'm just not convinced Sebastian Haller would have seen that game out, and the only way he played 90 minutes was due to the injury from Ogbonna, which took away that substitution. I don't know, I'm just guessing. But it does still pose the question as to what's he going to do. Mikel Antonio could be back for Sheffield United. Sebastian Haller should have put himself in a position where actually David Moyes says to Mikel, sorry mate, you're going to have to go on the bench. Now, okay, you're not that fit, you're going to have to go on the bench anyway. But he should have said to Mikel, you're going on the bench because Sebastian Haller has done fantastic while you've been out. I can't drop him. You're going to have to earn your place back in. But I'm not sure that's the thing. I think Moyes would be praying Antonio's fit enough to start. Naturally, he would. Antonio was in fantastic form, but I think he'll be hoping Antonio's fit enough to start because of Haller, as well as not just because of Antonio's form prior to his injury. And that's not good. How much time does Sebastian Haller have left with David Moyes? Because we know Moyes is a bit of a stubborn manager. When he likes you, he likes you. When he don't like you, he don't like you. However, if you get an opportunity to change his mind and you change his mind, he likes you again. Balbuena looked like he was on his way out in the summer, got back into the team and he stayed there. Masuaku, before switching to 5 at the back, 3 at the back, looked like he was on his way out. Back in the team, he's still there. He come in. Fornals was the most informed player, or probably the only informed player in Pellegrini. Moyes come in and dropped him. But yeah, he put Fornals in game ago. Not been out the team since. So there is a way back for Sebastian Haller. But the problem is, these 2 games, it was his opportunity. Balbuena, Masuaku, Fornals, they only took 2 or 3 games to say to David Moyes, hang on a minute, you made a mistake here, I am good enough. And Moyes just turned around and said, fair enough, you are. In you go, you stay in there. Sebastian Haller's had his 2 games. I'm not convinced he's done quite good enough in order to say to Moyes, hang on, put me in here. The performance against Fulham was, in my opinion, I know a lot of people aren't too happy and saying, hang on a minute, you can't be negative with one and stuff. I understand that, but it was far from convincing, the performance. And I think Moyes will be looking at that saying, well, it's because of the striker I had to play. Not necessarily because of Sebastian Haller, just the type of striker. I need someone a bit more like Mikel Antonio. And that's where I find it can be, sometimes you need variety in your squad, and I'd almost like to have 3 strikers where maybe 2 are similar or similar-ish. While Antonio and Haller aren't chalk and cheese and completely different, they're pretty different, aren't they? Haller just doesn't have the acceleration. He's not a slow player. He's just not quick on the turn. He's not quick off the mark like Mikel Antonio. Doesn't run the channels, which is what David Moyes wants. Antonio done a podcast with Laura Woods, the Super 6 podcast. Good podcast. It was a good listen, a good watch with Antonio. And I thought it was interesting that he said one of the best things, or one of the simplest bits of advice David Moyes has given him, which he remembers, is always be in line with the ball. So essentially, Balbuena has it. Make sure you're in line with Balbuena. So if he hits it long, you can run. If Ogbonna's got it, make sure you're in line with Ogbonna. Something simple. There's just an insight into how he wants the striker to play. And Antonio does do that. How many times one of the defence had the ball under pressure and they've cleared it and Antonio's running onto it, flicking it on, forcing the defender to put out for throwing. Quite a lot during that game. Sebastian Haller doesn't really have that about him. I would be surprised if you were to go back and watch either Fulham or Liverpool with that rule of thumb from David Moyes, be in line with the ball. I'd be shocked if Sebastian Haller was in line with the ball that often. He's very central. That's okay when you're that good in the air, but it's not how Moyes wants to play. Antonio's just told us that. Bit of an issue. I've got no doubt that we are currently putting a shortlist together for the January transfer window. Even if we've got little money, we might have lots of money. I think we are putting together a shortlist as to who we're going to go after. Do I believe the rumours? No. Do I believe the rumour that we're after Dembele from Lyon, who's not scored in 9 games this season? I don't. No. However, I do believe we're looking. Why wouldn't you? You'd be stupid not to. But whatever way you want to look at it, is Sebastian Haller in danger of being sold? I don't think so, but then if we need a striker and we've got money and we go and buy a striker, then we've now got possibly a striker too many. If we need money, we need to raise money to go and sign a striker. Sebastian Haller is the guy you're going to look at and say, well, he's the one we need to sell in order to get that player in. I think I'm less confident in Haller succeeding under Moyes now than I was prior to the Liverpool game, if you like. Like I said, I don't think he played bad over the 2 games. I thought there was an improvement against Fulham. But this is home to Fulham, and with the greatest of respect to them, there's not going to be much easier opponents on paper for Sebastian Haller or David Moyes this season, which allows you to adapt and change the system to get the best out of him. I don't think this is the last conversation we're going to be having about Sebastian Haller either. It's going to go on and on and on. I just thought I'd give him my tuppence anyway. I do think on Saturday he might have got subbed off should we had that third sub available. He's doing okay. I'm a big fan of him though. I do think Sebastian Haller is a talented player. We signed him as one of the top strikers in European football. The guy's got all the ability under the sun, but he's a damn good player. But we need a striker that's going to score goals. Antonio can do that, but if he's going to be out, we need someone that can step in there. We've seen other clubs. We've seen Leicester wobble without Jamie Vardy. Iheanacho goes in and can't do what Jamie Vardy can do. It's cost them points this season. They are still doing fantastically well, but they'd be doing even better had they had a striker similar. Southampton, when they don't have Danny Ings, they miss Danny Ings, don't they? Again, they done alright at the weekend without him, but you know what I'm trying to say. When you miss your striker, you miss your striker. We missed Antonio. Did Sebastian Haller fill his shoes? I'm not overly convinced he did, but not writing him off just yet. But I'm not as confident as I somewhat was. I'm not confident David Moyes is confident in him anymore. That's not a good thing. Anyway, I'm going to disappear. If you enjoyed this video, drop a like on it, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I shall catch you in a bit.